At least 26 Afghan soldiers have been killed and another 13 wounded in an attack on a military base. Now, the attack happened late Tuesday night in the Kakrez district in the Kandahar province. That's in southeastern Afghanistan. And officials say that they believe Taliban fighters were trying to take over the military base when they attacked, but were unsuccessful. More than 80 Taliban members were reportedly killed. And this is just the latest attack from the Taliban. On Monday, a car bomb in the capital city of Kabul killed more than 30 people.
We're going to bring in John Sitilides. He's a global risk analyst to talk about the Taliban's growing resurgence. John, the U.S. has been there for more than 15 years. The Taliban is getting stronger. Is there a strategy for winning here?
That's going to be the most pertinent question that President Trump and his generals will have to decide going forward. And unfortunately, it seems like we're going to have great trouble forging a winning strategy in Afghanistan if, in fact, the outcome is intended to be victory. And that remains an open question also. You're right. It's 16 years in, $700 billion. 2,400 American soldiers have given their lives in pursuit of a goal to deny a terrorist haven in Afghanistan. And that is a vital national interest. But we have failed to carve out a strategy and to implement a strategy that ensures that we can prevail in Afghanistan against the Taliban and against the Taliban supporters in South Asia. And that's going to be an enormous test for the president and his generals in the days and weeks ahead.
And John, what about Pakistan's role in all of this?
Pakistan is the absolutely essential partner in all of this, hopefully in a constructive way, but that remains an open question as well. Pakistan in many ways provides safe haven for the Taliban and the Haqqani network that is conducting and executing most of the most vicious terrorist attacks in Afghanistan. And the other reason the Taliban has been able to endure all of these withering attacks by U.S. and NATO allied forces since 2001. And there's also the question as to whether or not Pakistani intelligence have been supporting the Taliban since their creation back in the early 1990s. But how do we come up with a policy to have Pakistan help the United States in achieving our outcomes without pushing them closer to countries such as China, which has ulterior motives in Pakistan and the region? So it's not simply Afghanistan and Pakistan.
John, what about the notion of U.S. aid being tied to some more stringent strings with regards to Pakistan?
It's a very important part of what perhaps can be a successful two-part strategy. One is, of course, more offshore platform drone attacks against terrorists inside of Afghanistan, not just Taliban and Haqqani network, but also al-Qaeda and even now Islamic State, which has an offshoot franchise in Afghanistan, but also to withhold or to place greater conditions on aid to Pakistan. But again, the problem is that the Pakistanis have an alternate source for aid in China. And if China doesn't work with the United States to corner in Pakistan, that may be a losing proposition.
Let's bring it back to Washington, where you are right now. The president, for a long time, really didn't want to send more troops in. His advisors, his military advisors did, but now there's new reports that the president's thinking he might be able to exploit natural resources in Afghanistan, so he might actually want to send in more troops. Do you have any thoughts about that? Do you think that's something he might do?
That's the New York Times report today that I think you're referencing. Yeah. I don't really believe that President Trump and his National Security Council are going to be devoting thousands or tens of thousands of troops over many more years without some type of a hopeful victory strategy in the end to pursue mining contracts in Afghanistan. There's no reason they'll be exclusively made available to the United States or to American companies. And just the way China is making significant inroads into Pakistan, there are countries such as Russia, India, and Iran that also have very strong interests in exploiting these types of resources. So the idea that somehow we're going to go in just so that we can get the lion's share, I don't think really holds water.
John Sitilides, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.